Hello and welcome. This is a short introduction to our model and related performance assessment. We use a model called Brain, Body and Behavior to help people to better understand their brains and minds so they can better understand their behavior, and when needed, they can sustainably change their behavior to be at their best and gain the best possible outcomes. Our thinking and learning tends to depend on metaphor, i.e., we understand new and complex things in relation to what we already know. And within our brain we have two main systems, the controlled system and the automatic system. These systems run in parallel. An applicable metaphor for these systems is called the rider and the elephant. The rider symbolizes the controlled conscious part of our brains, and the elephant symbolizes the automatic subconscious part. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, and knowing how to cultivate their strengths and support them in working as a team is key to our well-being and performance. For example, the rider is responsible for our executive functions. These are things such as forward thinking and planning. Here the rider helps us to develop and consider longer-term goals and how to exert self-control to delay gratification when necessary. The rider also helps with reasoning, which we use for things like decision making and solving problems. And now we come to the elephant. The elephant is responsible for automating behavior, so for example our habits and routines. This is key because up to 95% of our behavior each day is automatic. This is also very important, of course, for managing energy, as any conscious effort made by the rider uses energy at a faster rate than any other part of our bodies. So the more that we can automate behavior, the more we can save energy. The elephant also processes our emotions, filters data from our senses, and controls our threat survival system. Now the rider has little power to cause behavior. Essentially, the elephant is in charge and wants to move towards pleasure and away from pain. But the good news is that the rider can learn to advise the elephant and motivate it to make better choices. And this brings us to the importance of our mind-body connection. Our minds and bodies are strongly integrated and influence each other's states and performance massively. Our body impacts our rider and our elephant's abilities directly. For example, working longer than 2 hours without recovery will decrease the capacity of the rider and put the elephant more in control, which decreases our executive functions like self-control and making us much more reactive. The rider and elephant work much better together when we have our physical resources in balance, and most of these resources come from simple things such as sleep, rest, moving and eating. But how do we measure these physical aspects and make their effects more objective? This is where our performance assessment is useful. By using a heart rate variability measuring device like the First Beat Bodyguard or Cortrium C3 Halter, we can gain a direct cause and effect relationship on how factors such as sleep, recovery and exercise affect us. Here is an example report showing one measurement day from the First Beat Bodyguard. People tend to wear these devices from 3 to 7 days and nights. The green color you see represents recovery, which is the state where we are gaining more resources than we are using. So either we are at rest or sleeping, or we could actually be awake and engaged in something like work, but we are not experiencing pressure or stress while doing so. Red means activation or stress. So here we are using more resources than we're gaining. For example, when we're at work, solving a problem, or when we're having an important conversation with somebody else. Stress is not bad and actually can be a good thing as long as the stress is split up with periods of recovery, hence being able to balance our resources. Blue means movement. So it could be either light movement like walking or more intense exercise. We can also see with these graphs how efficient and effective the exercise is or was. And now we see a summary, an overall picture for our body's resources. So in this case we see 3 days and we see the trend on whether this person is managing the resources sustainably. This awareness can be used when identifying which goals would create the biggest balance in an individual's performance and well-being, and also how we can look at using very simple habits to increase a person's performance. In this case, in the summary, we see that the person is maintaining a rough balance by actually gaining the same amount of resources during their sleep as they are using during their day. And by tweaking this, by looking at what sort of habits will bring the most benefit, we can actually change this person's trend so that they, on average, gaining more resources than you're using. So in that case, the line would be on a more upward slope across the days that they wear the device. So in summary, we of course want to take this information and use it in a helpful way for the people that we work with. And what we do here is we combine this information with coaching and the science of habits to enable people to make sustainable behavior changes. Thank you for listening.